on your campuses, are people knowledgeable on your campus about SB1? Are they aware of this threat? And have they started rallying and making their viewpoints known that this law is unlawful and should go the way of the dodo bird? I mean, what is happening? How is this affecting your campus and the people there?
Yes, ma'am. So on our particular campus, since we found out about this bill when it was first presented, before it was even signed and passed, we immediately got to going to the State House. We had people speaking out on it. We had protests. We had our Divine Nine in the area going and speaking out on it. We had our local NAACP chapters, our Alabama State University NAACP, Tuskegee, Auburn University in Montgomery, and many other chapters as well. So we went out and we have been trying, but in our state, it's a lot of trying we have to do, if you know what I mean. Because a lot of people who are in those offices, they're not for us. Like, I was talking to my grandmother the other day, and I told her, I said, I think you may have had more rights when you were younger than I have now. And that's honestly sad that you have to sit back and you have to look at it like that. You have to sit back and you have to look at it like that, because that's the truth. That's the honest truth. We're losing rights. We're not getting any further ahead than what we were. We're going back. And everyone has to wake up immediately. And I'm not going to say 100% of all youth in college in Alabama are awoke, but by the time I'm done, they will be.
Now. Speak. Hey, Daryl, I love that. He said by the time
Absolutely.
I'm done. Did you hear that?
Tom, he's done. He's got some work to do, and he's going to do the work that he has to do to be certain that they're registered and voting. And Rodreisha, I know you're going to be, with Eldric every step of the way, long as he's registering those people to vote you and Dr. Adia both. But Rodreisha, one of the things I did want to ask you, because I like to dig down in the bills when they have these little nasty bills those states like Alabama puts out. When you look at the Alabama, because people hear us saying, it's a Class B felony, what does that mean? Well, in Alabama, correct me if I'm wrong, there are 4 different types of felonies, Class A, B, C, and D. And they go in order by significance. The Class A, obviously, is the first-degree rape and all the murders and stuff like that. The Class B, which is where they've classified this helping somebody vote with their absentee ballot. That Class B, that's reserved for people that are convicted of second-degree rape. It's reserved for people that are convicted of, serious first-degree assault, reserved for people that steal vehicles. That type of stuff is what that Class B felony is about. So, Rodreisha, when we hear where they're placing this felony, right, for trying to assist someone in voting, what does that signify to Alabama? Is the message just to Alabama? Because it's the same thing we saw in Florida. Is the message just to Alabama, or is this some of that tag team stuff that they saw Florida do it, now Alabama's doing it, we're looking for somebody else to be tagged?
It is. And you know what, Daryl? You brought up a very good point, and I really want our listeners to tune in to what I'm getting ready to say. This Class B felony, examples of like you said, first-degree assault, first-degree manslaughter, second-degree rape. These are all violent charges. These are charges that you have inflicted violence on somebody else other than yourself. When it came to the winning of the moral turpitude for folks to be able to vote, the moral turpitude, if you're not charged of a crime that's violent, you hear me? If you're not charged of a crime doing something to somebody else, you still have your full rights to vote. So if somebody is going to be charged with this type of Class B felony, assisting folks, that means now they have been charged with a crime of moral turpitude. And so that further takes them into voter suppression, because now we have not only put a felony on folks for assisting, we've also given them a violent crime charge. And so when you're thinking about assisting somebody to vote, there's no violence in it. There's no bloodshed. There's no tears shed. You know what I mean? There's no violence. So why would Alabama scoop so low to charge folks with a violent crime? And that is to reverse the wins, hear me clearly, that we have had as far as getting those rights to vote for folks in prison and getting the rights to vote also not only just with the incarcerated people, but also folks that have been disenfranchised for a long time, and the redistricting win that we just had. This is just to reverse all of this phenomenal work to say, you know what, I'm not going to jail to be charged with a Class C felony trying to help somebody else. That's all this is about.
Wow. I mean, this bill, I just got beat up on SB1 just a little bit more, folks. Because if you go through, it tells you, quote, who can help somebody. And you look at it, and it's bizarre because it talks about, kinship all the way down to half siblings. It talks about governmental employees who can help people. It talks about everything. It talks about, you got to, if you're blind, if you're disabled, unable to read or write. But you know what I noticed is not there that we all know is commonplace, and that is any kind of person who helps the person. If you're elderly, you normally have someone who comes into your home as an aide or as an assistant, or just folks who check up on you from church and who make sure you're all right. None of those people can help you under this definition. So there's problems, folks. This is a dangerous law. It's designed to really harm voters. But let me get back to another subject, because we can't talk about Alabama and not talk about the new congressional district, number 2, that Adia, you were a plaintiff, right, in this case, and fought to make sure that Alabama Ford and Evan Milligan and all of the people who were involved in this battle, that we were able to, make sure that the people of Alabama got a second congressional district. And can you talk about what that means? Because Eldric, I noticed that, one of the counties in that new district is Montgomery County. I also noted that one of the new districts, counties that are also, one of the counties that's also covered by this new district is the good old Macon, wherein Tuskegee resides. Come on, tell us, Adia, what does it mean to have this new congressional district?
Yes, it means absolutely everything. So in 2021, when the LDF came down and were looking for plaintiffs who filed the case, and I heard what was going on, I wanted to get in and do what I could to support. And talking to Evan about it in the beginning, I felt that being a plaintiff was the right thing. And so I signed on, and the case was filed. But once we were early on in that process, it was decided that it was best for me to come off the case because I had just run for Congress in 2020. And so at that point, and thank goodness for the brilliant legal team, because they already saw what was ahead. And so, you know what I mean? So my decision to leave really was what sparked us with Transform Alabama to spread the message of the Supreme Court case. We spent 2 years going around helping people understand why it mattered that we had a new congressional district. And when we won that case and all of the shenanigans that they attempted, we still got the new map. This is a time where the action really begins. And so the counties that are a part of this new district have a great responsibility, not only to the district where they reside, but to the rest of the state of Alabama and really the nation. And so at this juncture, we have the opportunity, in the face of all of this voter suppression that we see, in the face of SB1, we have the opportunity to show that none of that matters when we mobilize and we organize the way that we know how to. So I'm just so inspired by the plaintiffs, the other plaintiffs that were able to remain on the case and that fought, and that really themselves were targets as they went through these years of just going through this, and it's not over yet because you know that they're still fighting, even though we have the new map.
Yes.
They still have to go back to court, so it's not over.
Yep.
And so this work that we're doing is bigger than us. We understand that it's part of that larger voting rights timeline. But we won, y'all. We did that with that new map, and we celebrate. We celebrate, but we know it's time to work. And I'm so glad to have Eldric on and what he's doing at Alabama State. And we're transferring to Alabama. We have some students that we're organizing on Tuskegee's campus, and that's really what it takes to get this change that we know is right on the horizon. Because, y'all, if we wasn't winning, they would not be going through all these tactics and shenanigans.
That's right.
They know SB1 is foolish. They know that's foolish. I mean, just top to bottom. So, let's work and make this thing happen in November.
Hey, and, Daryl, right next door, Louisiana, they had also were able to get a district, but now they got that overturned by, a very hostile court. And it's on its way to the Supreme Court. LDF, once again, go on in the OACP Legal Defense Fund. We just love your work that you do. They're once again asking the Supreme Court to review this immediately on an emergency basis. So that's really good news. But also, what I wanted to point out about the Congressional District 2 is, Daryl, that report that you and I were talking about the turnout. Can you tell people, because I heard something during the panel that I thought was inaccurate, but tell people what the studies have shown about the turnout for this year's primary in that new district.
Oh, yeah, Barbara. I mean, the turnout in that new district has just been phenomenal with regards to the percentage of voters that have become engaged and have become part of actually voting, the whole voting process. It's really interesting to watch it all unfold because it's almost like they have freed the vote. No pun intended, or maybe pun is intended. Okay, they freed the vote because they certainly had it under wraps and thought they had everything really held back. But once that new congressional district was in place, it's the taste of victory, right? You get that taste of victory and you want more. And it was just a phenomenal thing to see that those percentages that increased in the congressional district, the new congressional district that came into place. So Rodreisha, you've got to be really ecstatic with the numbers of people that are coming out and what it will mean across all of Alabama, not just that one congressional district.
Yes. And we want to point out that the turnout more than doubled, everybody. More than doubled. Do you know what it means to more than double turnout in a primary election? More than doubled. It shows that the people were waiting, right, Adia? And Adia, it also shows the incredible work you talked about. That didn't happen by accident. That turnout didn't increase by accident because the state was really failing in its duty to help the voters to understand about this new district. It was you. It was all those groups out there on the ground doing this work, right?
It was. And let me just say, Daryl and Barbara, I appreciate you all saying this because you all are the first that I've heard say that. Now, me and my team, we study numbers, so we were extremely excited about what happened in the primary and runoff. But the message that we're getting within the state is that people are disappointed. And so I'm going to take this information and just even the way that you all presented it and to share it, because part of voter suppression is helping us feel hopeless and helpless.
Yeah,
and when you feel that way, that discourages. So to hear this, because we work so hard, when you work hard and then people are like, well, the turnout was low. So having this perspective is very helpful. It's very helpful because we did a great thing, and I've been somewhat hesitant about celebrating because I'm like, well, I don't want people to think that all the work is done and they don't have to come out in November. But just hearing this from you all, it is important for us to celebrate and put things in perspective and just to go harder, and do everything that we can to just laugh in the face of voter suppression, because it won't stop us. We have a lot to do, but we have a lot to celebrate because we have done a great thing. So thank you for sharing that.
No, I mean,
and Adia, I certainly wanted to, if I may, Barbara, I certainly wanted to point out, Adia, one